praises. Shalom, y'all. How y'all doing? All praises. We just picking up where we left off. We're going to jump right in. This is part 7. All praises. So yeah, it's part 7. Can y'all believe it's August already? It seemed like it was just March. And here it is. Yeah, we headed into the fall season. Like it's right around the corner. It seemed like the clock is just getting accelerated. Like it's speeding up more and more. Wars, rumors of wars. Exactly, like, yeah. But all praises. We got today, we here today. So, yeah, y'all know the disclaimer. Y'all know what it is by now. We gonna just jump straight in. So last week, we saw this slide. We asked, can you give some examples how your members/senses can be used for sin? We started talking about the mouth and how your mouth can get you in trouble, right? Last week we looked at gossip, slanders, right? This week we looking at complaining, murmuring, how that can get you in trouble. All right, so last week we also asked the question, why is it important that we gain control out of our mouth, gain control over our mouth? And we asked, well, is it possible that your mouth can keep you out of the kingdom? And we said, yeah, absolutely, right? So we're gonna continue on where we left off. So Jude chapter 1, well, it's only the one chapter, but Jude 1 and 14, verse 14. It says, and Enoch, the seventh from Adam, also prophesied to these, saying, see, Yahuwah comes with his myriads of set-apart ones, to execute judgment on all, to punish all who are wicked among them concerning all their wicked works which they have committed in a wicked way, and concerning all the harsh words which wicked sinners have spoken against him. These are grumblers, complainers, who walk according to their own lust or desires, and their mouth speaks proudly, admiring faces of others for the sake of gain. So, first, before we even get into this, I'm gonna walk off on a tangent for a second. Because here Jude is saying, and he's in agreement with whatever this is that he's saying that Enoch said, right? And he's saying, these are the grumblers, the complainers, XYZ, boom, boom, boom. Well, let me ask y'all this question. What is Jude quoting? Notice that's a quote, right? They're in quotations. What is Jude quoting? Say it again, Enoch. Book of Enoch. So we're going to go there. I want to read the full quote in context of what it is that he's quoting. But just one of those little tidbits that, again, keep in your toolbox and keep in mind, right? What is it that he's quoting? Where did Enoch prophesy this? Like, because he's saying, hey, this is what Enoch prophesied. Enoch said this, and he's in agreement with what this is. So just one of those things. So the book of Enoch, this is the first chapter. All right, so parable of Enoch on the future lot of the wicked and the righteous. So it says, it kicked out all praises. Now here it is. It's been going all this time. And as soon as we get started, that's when it kicks off. All right. right. We should be good to go. How's that? Yeah, my apologies. Yes, sir. I can see you and everything. Maybe I can try to back out and. Yeah, I can see you jumping on, jumping off. Oops. All praises. All praises. So, Book of Enoch, this is what Jude is quoting, this is the first chapter, starting at verse 1. All right, so it says, the words of the blessing of Enoch, wherewith he blessed the elect and righteous who will be living in the day of tribulation, when all the wicked and godless are to be removed. And he took up this parable and said, Enoch, a righteous man whose eyes were opened by Elohim, saw the vision of the Holy One in the heavens, which the angel showed me. And from them I heard everything. And from them I understood as I saw, but not for this generation, but for a remote one which is to come. Concerning the elect I said, and took up my parable concerning them. The Holy Great One will come forth from his dwelling, and the eternal Elohim will tread upon the earth, even on Mount Sinai, and appear from his camp, and appear in the strength of his might from the heaven of heavens. And all shall be smitten with fear, and the watchers shall quake, and great fear and trembling shall seize them unto the ends of the earth. And the high mountains shall be shaken, and the high hills shall be made low, and shall melt like wax before the flame. And the earth shall be wholly rent in sunder, and all that is upon the earth shall perish, and there shall be a judgment upon all men. But with the righteous he will make peace, and will protect the elect, and mercy shall be upon them. And they shall all belong to Elohim, and they shall be prospered, and they shall all be blessed. And he will help them all, and light shall appear unto them, and he will make peace with them. And behold, this is the quote, and behold, he comes with 10,000s of his holy ones to execute judgment upon all, and to destroy all the wicked, and to convict all flesh of all the works of their wickedness, which they have wickedly committed, and of all the hard things which wicked sinners have spoken against him. So here we see Jude quoting the book of First Enoch chapter 1, because there's 3 different books of Enoch. This is the first one, right? Now, Enoch 2 and Enoch 3, they came. The evidence kind of shows that they came at later dates. So, do with that what you will. I'm not saying that it's not good stuff in them, but the first book of Enoch, we do know that in the days of this letter being written, they were using it, looking to it. It was found in the Dead Sea Scrolls, which, that predates the time of the New Testament. So just something to keep in mind. But this is what he's quoting. Right, so he believed this to be an account that describes the judgment that comes on the final day of Yahuwah, that day of his vengeance. So in this, grumblers, complainers, and those speaking proudly will receive an unfavorable judgment, right? So, we think sometimes like complaining, murmuring, grumbling, it's not that serious of a thing, right? But that's not really the case when we're looking at it from the Father's vantage point, right? Like, we in our minds, we have this thing where we say, okay, well, this is the category of the big stuff that we know. And then all of the other stuff we kind of let, fall through the cracks. And we pay no mind to it. But that very thing might be the thing that keeps us out of the kingdom. Think about the young rich man. He said, well, hey, all these things I've done since a youth. Right? I've been doing it. I don't have no problem with none of that stuff. He said, well, all right, there's one thing that I still see that you lack. So take what you have, give it off to the poor, and then come follow me. And that was the one thing that he couldn't do that kept him out. Man walked off crying because he knew that was the thing that he wasn't going to do. Right? So it's a serious thing.
When you brought that up, it just made me think how it's, when people have a lot, they don't like to give anything away. They say that, this man says, I've been following the commandments all the days of my life. This is everything that I've ever done. But when it comes to showing love to the next individual, to give something away, then we have an issue. And this not just within, then we become that we wind up with these pharisaical attitudes and ideas, and this is so far away from the ways of Yah. It's, but we don't look at it that way a lot of times.
Elder Wood, all praises.
This kind of reminds me of Moshe when Moses brought us out of Egypt. We murmured and complained so much that it hadn't been for Moses, Yah would have destroyed all of us and started all over again with Moses. So this murmuring, that's why he stated that these people will not see the land that he had promised to us. That's why we had to wander in the wilderness for 40 years to get rid of all of these complainers and those, every time something went wrong, they wanted to run back to Egypt. Right. So the murmuring, it's a reflection of when you say you're not getting into the kingdom, well, some of them didn't even get into the new land because of their murmuring.
All praises. Like, that's where we're going. Like, that's pretty much the lesson today. So that's you right on it, Elder. Like, that's where we're headed. No, all praises. So here, the word for grumbling, right? Gagustes. In Greek, it's a grumbler, a murmurer, right? Then we got the word for complainers. I'm not even going to try to pronounce that. Greek is not my strong suit. Memphis Grizzlies or something like that. I don't know. Memphistos, I don't know. It's beyond me. But it's from a presumed derivative of G20 or 3201 and G3313. Blaming fate, right? That's where we're getting at. Blaming fate, that is querulous, discontented, to be a complainer. There's definition, complaining of one's lot, right? Of one's portion, the portion that was right for you. to be querulous or discontented. Is this something that's easy to do or is it hard to do? Like, yeah, easy to, is complaining, or is that something that's easy to do? So it don't take much, right? Like, it doesn't take much to get in this space, but then not realizing that this space is, it could very well be being written in our book like, nope, can't come in here with that, right? So it's something for us to think about. So, just like Elder just so poignantly brought out, remember this was the mindset that caused many to perish in the wilderness and never see the land that was promised to them. So this generation was not entering into the kingdom that was promised to them in their day. So their perspective locked them out of the rest that they so desperately desired, right? So to complain is to express dissatisfaction or annoyance about something. Example they gave, local authorities complain that they lack sufficient resources. So notice sometimes, you know, you can have a lack of quote unquote resources, and that might cause you to complain a little bit, right? So the state that one is suffering from, or to state, like stating that one is suffering from a pain or other symptoms of illness. So it says her husband began to complain of headaches, right? So sometimes it's just stating that you're suffering from something, right? Luke 6:45, the good man brings forth what is good out of the treasure of his heart, and the wicked man brings forth what is wicked out of the wicked treasure of his heart. For out of the overflow of the heart, his mouth speaks. So if you find yourself complaining, what is that saying about your heart? Right, so it's something to think about. Out of the abundance of your heart, that means your heart is filled with something. And if complaints are coming out of it, that means that it's something that's in your heart that is now overflowing, right? To murmur, a soft, indistinct sound made by a person or group of people speaking quietly or at a distance. This is under your breath talk, right? Like to say something in a low, soft, or indistinct voice. So I bring this up because we know this is all about what's in your heart, right? A lot of times we think that just because we're not loud, right? The volume is not high. When we complain and when we murmur, that it's okay, right? But that's not really the case, because this is really something that's focusing on the heart of the individual. There are things in the heart of the individual that the Father does not want there, and he will bring judgment about those things being in the heart. So you can complain and grumble and murmur quietly, but it's still a display. Like I said, it's something that's in your heart. The question is whether or not you are looking at things with the correct perspective. So for those that were in the wilderness, they had an inaccurate perspective and outlook on their situation that caused them to murmur and complain, right? So Exodus 16:1, it says, and they set out from Elim, and all the congregation of the children of Israel came to the wilderness of Sin, which is between Elim and Sinai, on the 15th day of the second new lunar month after their going out of the land of Mizraim. And all the congregation of the children of Israel grumbled against Moses and Aaron in the wilderness. They complained. And this is not just some of them, this is everybody, right? Everybody is feeling the type of way. It says, and the children of Israel said to them, if only we had died by the hand of Yahuwah in the land of Mizraim or Egypt, when we sat by the pots of meat and when we ate bread to satisfaction. For you have brought us into this wilderness to put all this assembly to death with hunger. And Yahuwah said to Moses, see, I am raining bread from the heavens for you, and the people shall go out and gather a day's portion every day in order to try them, whether they walk in my law or my Torah or not. So now how much was they going to receive? daily bread, right? Each day's portion. Now, remember on the slide that we just left from, to express dissatisfaction or annoyance about something, and in that example that they gave, local authorities complain that they lack sufficient resources, right? So now, just keep in mind, your perspective on your resources can put you in a space where you might find yourself complaining, murmuring, grumbling, right? But the question really is has the Father given you enough for today? And if you believe in and you trusting in him, and he's said that that's what he's going to do, right? It says in another place that, hey, I've never seen a righteous forsaken or begging for bread, or his children begging for bread. Like, I've never. Now, that's not to say that he ain't ever seen them going without some resources, but what was needful, he always made sure that was taken care of. If we be any of his, right? So really, what is that saying? That's saying that things aren't going the way that we want them to go. So it says, verse 5, it says, and it shall be on the 6th day that they shall prepare what they bring in, and it shall be twice as much as they gather daily. So now, there's a whole thing in that too, because he knows how to provide more than what you need in certain moments as well, for you to have something later on when you need it, right? He already knows, well, tomorrow I'm not going to provide this for you. So gather double today. He takes care of everything, but every other day, outside of that 6th day, you're going to get that one portion, right? It says, and Moses and Aaron said to all the children of Israel, at evening you shall know that Yahuwah has brought you out of the land of Mizraim. Now we know that there were some that went out and they tried to gather more than that portion. And what happened to it? Worms got to it, rotted, spoiled, right? But every 6th day, if they gathered it in his timing, just fine, right? So again, just keep in mind that sometimes it boils down to it being a matter of, is this the Father's timing or not? Is this his will and desire or not in this moment? And maybe you got to wait. If it's the first day, maybe you got to wait until the 6th day for you to get what it is that you need for that latter day, when it's not going to come. Sometimes we just put things in our own mind, and then that now we going through it, when really we got to sit back and we got to say, well, has he provided what I need, what's needful for today? And if he has, then we ought to be in the mindset of what? Praise and thanks, right? So it really is, as we're going to see in this lesson, it's going to come down to what's in your heart. Is his will and desire in your heart? Or is your will and desire in your heart? That's what it's going to boil down to. Now, if your will and desire is what's in your heart, and it don't line up with his, and how he's doing things and how he's moving, then yeah, you might be disgruntled. Might be complaining, right? And we're going to see that it comes out in a whole number of ways, right? Like, last verse. And Moses and Aaron said to all the children of Israel, at evening you shall know that Yahuwah has brought you out of the land of Mizraim. Right? So all of this is all about them gaining an understanding that the Father is the one that they need to be looking to, right? And giving him thanks for what he's done for them. So I got some questions as we reading through this chapter. Who did the people grumble against? I'm going to ask you one more time. Y'all right. But who did they think they was grumbling against? Moses and Aaron, right? This is who they, and oftentimes I'm pointing that out because oftentimes when we find ourselves in a state of complaining and murmuring, we're not bringing it directly to the Father's doorstep. and complaining to him is usually manifesting in being taken out on others, right? Or we say it about other things. It's very rare that we bringing it directly to his doorstep and complaining to him, because we know in our mind, like, no, he hasn't done anything wrong to us, right? But that don't mean that we actually had the right stuff in our heart. That's why I keep saying that this is a matter of the heart. So what was their complaint? And was it legitimate? Akoti. All praises.
If you go up chapter 15, verse 22, at the end of that verse, it says that they went 3 days in the wilderness and found no water. So I would say, yes, legitimate. You don't have any water. So their
All
complaint
praises.
was they were thirsty. And then, of course, the hunger. So if you're hungry and thirsty, you're gonna say something.
All praises. Excellent point. They was really out there hungry, and they was really out there thirsty, y'all. Like, they was.
Now, he was giving you manna to eat. That wasn't sufficient enough. Then you wanted meat. That wasn't sufficient enough. It seemed like we were never satisfied.
Mm-hmm.
Even though your clothes and your shoes never wore out. He had a cloud over you as you traveled through in the daytime. He had pillars of fire to keep you warm during the night. It's like, I mean, I can understand when he said, well, I don't know what else I can do for these people.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I've shown them so much. It seems like the more I show them, the more they want. They're never satisfied. It just seems to amaze me that, you know, they were eyewitnesses to what he did to Egypt. He brought down Egypt without firing one arrow. Not one of us died, you know, and split the Red Sea for us to get through. And Moses went through a lot of headaches with us. Even Moses became weary of us at some point in time. So, you know, our hearts is never satisfied. It's like the more you give me, the more I want. It's never satisfied or come to an understanding that, you know, I should be graceful for everything that I do have. Mm-hmm. And anything that comes with that is a blessing. Our people is still this way to this day.
All praises. Like, absolutely. Like, when that's the thing that's in your heart, it doesn't matter what gets given to you. It doesn't matter what. It's an insatiable desire. You can't quench it. Right? So, what was their conclusion? How did they want to solve this problem? And was that legitimate? Now, did that make sense? So you see how your perspective on what is going on, whether it's legitimate or not, your perspective and your outlook on it, you can get messed up. Logic is low. All praises. And then, what was the reason for their circumstance? Right? So, like, why were they going through what they were going through? The W.
Just read a verse of Shemot 15, verse 25, and he cried out to Yahuwah, and they cried out to Yahuwah, and Yahuwah showed him a tree, and when he threw it, which is Moshe, he threw it in the waters, and the waters were made sweet. There he made a law and a righteous ruling for them, and there he tried them. So I think all of it is just testing and trials to see what's in your heart, and for them to be able to know at the end, okay, look, I'll be Yahuwah. He's the one who's going to provide for me. Like, we are no longer in a place where it's given to us so freely, you know, in that way. But I'll be Yahuwah will be the one. they need to know that Yahuwah is there, and he's the one who's going to be providing for them.
All praises. So remember, that's what he said, right? Like, in order to try them, whether they walk in my law or not, I'm trying to see what's in your heart. I need to know, is this real or is this just, I ain't saying she a gold digger. She ain't messing with no broke. Like, is that what's going on here, or is it something that's real? Like, are you really here with me for me? Right? It's a real question that the Father is asking and trying to see with his people, because we also know it says in another place that he has not dealt so with any other nation. And that we will be a peculiar treasure above all nations, above all peoples in the earth. So he's putting something special on this group of people. I need to know, because I don't just move like this with everybody, right? I need to know, are you really for me? Or are you just here for the ride, for what I can do for you, right? So all praises. So Exodus 16:7, it says, and in the morning you shall see the esteem of Yahuwah, and for he hears your grumblings against Yahuwah. For what are we that you grumble against us? So now this goes to y'all's answer, right? Who was they really grumbling against? They was grumbling against the Most High. That's who they was really mad with, even though they was taking it out on people that was right there in front of them. It's beyond Moses and Aaron. Like this, they didn't do anything wrong to them. This is a problem that they had with the Most High, right? So it says, and Moses said, in that Yahuwah gives you meat to eat in the evening, and in the morning bread to satisfaction, for Yahuwah hears your grumblings, which you make against him. And what are we? Your grumblings are not against us, but against Yahuwah. And Moses said to Aaron, say to all the congregation of the children of Israel, come near before Yahuwah, for he has heard your grumblings. And it came to be, as Aaron spoke to all the congregation of the children of Israel, that they looked toward the wilderness, and see, the esteem of Yahuwah appeared in the cloud. And Yahuwah spoke to Moses, saying, I have heard the grumblings of the children of Israel. Speak to them, saying, between the evenings you are to eat meat, and in the morning you are to be satisfied with bread. And you shall know that I am Yahuwah your Elohim. So consider the wilderness, right? We all go through situations and things, right, where stuff isn't quite lining up and quite going the way that we might want it to go, or the way that we see things ought to be, that would maximize our comfort, right, in a situation. It's a lesson about changing one's perspective to thankfulness and to contentment because of one's reliance on Elohim. That's what this wilderness was all about, right? He knew everything about us through and through. Said, no, I'm not going to take them the short way by the Philistines. They ain't ready for that. So instead, we're going to go the long way through the wilderness. There's some things they need to work on. They need to gain this confidence in me. Because if we had it, we would have just smashed out the Philistines and wouldn't be no wilderness story for us to go back and read. Right? So it's clear that we had an issue with trusting in him and relying on him from the get-go. And part of that really was just because we didn't know him like that. I mean, who am I going to say sent me? Right? What am I going to tell these people? You know they're not going to listen. Yeah, I'm the Elohim of your fathers, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob. I will be what I will be. Let them know you. Who has sent me? Sent you. And I stand by my name is basically what he's saying. I stand by who I am. All you got to do is sit back and watch. It's about remembering why you are thankful for what you do have. We might have been thirsty for a couple of days, might not have had no food for a few days, but you know what? We ain't getting beat. We ain't slaves no more. All day, every day. Especially if you know if you just wait a little bit, he done came this far, it's coming. It's going to come. But when emotion is high, logic is low. So it's all about remembering why you are thankful for what you do have and to whom you should be thankful towards. So notice they might not have had everything that they wanted, how they wanted it, but they still lacked nothing. I don't remember hearing any accounts of anybody, like Elder said, anybody that died in that wilderness from hunger. Did anybody starve in the wilderness? I never heard of it. Now, I heard a lot of people complaining like they was about to die, but we never heard an account where the father had to step in and be like, my bad, I forgot to feed y'all. That never happened. Deuteronomy 8:1, guard to do every command which I command you today, that you might live and shall increase, and go in and shall possess the land which Yahuwah swore to your fathers. And you shall remember that Yahuwah your Elohim led you all the way these 40 years in the wilderness to humble you, to prove you, to know what is in your heart, whether you guard his commands or not. So what is this all about? I'm trying to see if you're going to keep your eyes on me. I've been down this road before. It's basically what he's saying, where he gave Adam and Eve everything. He'd already been there. They weren't tested or proven for anything. They just woke up in paradise. And that didn't work. Before them, there was a serpent to begin with. Well, where is he coming from? Hashatan, we know it said in one place, they was cast down to the earth. Him and a third of all those that was up there. So he done seen where, for what? Gave them everything. It's not like they needed anything. So he's done been down that road already. Had that been one of us, we not going to be a fool with what's ours. I'm going to test you. I need to see, is it real or not? Verse 3, it says, and he humbled you and let you suffer hunger and fed you with manna which you did not know, nor did your fathers know, to make you know that man does not live by bread alone, but by every word that comes from the mouth of Yahuwah. Your garments did not wear out on you, nor did your foot swell these 40 years. But I saw over there in the nations, they had the Air Jordan 5 in the new colorway. These cool, but I want them new joints, the real new joints. You see how, like Elder said, your heart can be messed up to where it's nothing that can satisfy you. Instead of just looking and being thankful, like, man, nah, but what we got, we making it through with what we got. All praises. For 40 years. 40 years? Yeah, I just pulled out a pair of shoes from a storage bin that I got, thinking I was about to throw them bad boys on. I looked at them, I was like, man, now the heat done got to these. They about to have a conversation with me. The glue done already broke down. They ready to full-blown talk. Said, dang, I can't wear these. 40 years. Your garments did not wear out on you, nor did your foot swell these 40 years. Thus you shall know in your heart that as a man disciplines his son, so Yahuwah your Elohim disciplines you. So sometimes you got to go through things just because it's some stuff that's with you that's not right, that needs correction. I need to work this up out of you. Therefore you shall guard the commands of Yahuwah your Elohim to walk in his ways and to fear him. For Yahuwah your Elohim is bringing you into a good land, a land of streams of water, of fountains and springs that flow out of the valleys and hills. All I'm asking you to do is learn what you need to learn now, suffer while you need to suffer now, because where I'm sending you, you'll never suffer again. There will be no lack of resource as long as you can get you right. As long as I allow you in, this issue is temporary. You'll never have to worry about it again. Just endure. Get close to me. Keep your eyes on me. But instead of doing that, sometimes our heart can build up with the dissatisfaction, and then now we complaining and backbiting and murmuring.
It goes with what Cody put in the telegram this morning, and it stuck out to me when she said the trials now are not to be compared to the reward to come. Mm-hmm. If we can just bear through the tests, there's a reward. Mm-hmm. We go through this in school. If I can pass this test, this might boost my GPA. This might do, there's a reward to it. Mm-hmm. But if I fail this test, now I got to deal with the repercussions even with that.
Mm-hmm. All praises. So it's coming down to a matter of, what do you believe? Do you believe what he said in the promise, or nah, right? Go ahead, Uncle T.
Like you said, it's temporary, but everything in life everything here on this earth that we go through is temporary. Mm-hmm. It's like the saying we always hear, this too shall pass. Mm-hmm. So if we really just focus on what his word says, his promises, his perks to us, he said if we count it all joy, that in every state that we're in, to be there content. Then and not focus on our issues. Some people say, well, that's easier said than done. Well, no, his word is true. So it's like, let Yah be true and every man a liar. So if that's what he said in his word, then, it's about building up your faith, okay, and strengthening your faith. Not saying that, maybe babes in Christ, they start off with a mustard seed faith. But eventually they, once you get into his word and know what he says, and you have to trust and believe in what he says. Because he's a God that cannot lie. He said it's impossible for him to lie. So if he said it, that settles it. You just got to believe him. You're his child, so that just goes with the territory. You must trust, you must believe, and count it all joy. This too shall pass. Sometimes you have to encourage yourself, like David did. You have to encourage yourself in the Lord, because sometimes it's not going to be other people around. There's not going to be Brother Alon and Minister Brian and Minister Eugene, what have you. You have to learn to build your own self up in his faith, in the faith.
All praises. Excellent point.
Just to elaborate on that, and I can only speak from experience, the more tests, the more trials we go through, it will increase your faith if you learn to, he took me through this, he took me through that. Even when my contract at the site was, it's like, hey, June 30th, let's be our last day. Okay, I didn't flinch. My rent went up. I didn't flinch. My word was Yahuwah will provide. And I never wavered. I didn't murmur. I didn't complain. I didn't pout. My trust was already laid into, and this is what he wants from us. Where's your faith at? Next you know, I get an email. Hey, we heard great things about you at the site. We would like to hire you as our manager to supervise this. When does it start? July. So didn't miss anything, because for one, what would have happened if I would have murmured, if I would have complained, if I would have pouted, if I would have had a negative reaction to, man, what else can go wrong, right? Mm-hmm. But Yahuwah will provide.
All praises. And then mind you, it could have been somebody in that very place that was like, man, this ungrateful guy, whoever you hire to do, don't have them do it, right? Like that could have then backfired, right? All praises.
I know reading in the book of Job is one thing I really did admire of him, because everything that transpired, everything that he went through, the last thing he always said was, Yah giveth and Yah taketh away. Blessed be the name of Yah.
All praises.
It's crazy to be able to eat the same thing over and over again every single day. Just think about beans and rice, rice and beans. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's a saying. It's a saying in our house.
Them struggle meals.
Yeah.
But just think about that. Like, it's one thing to say it, it's another thing to actually live it. And I just praise Abba Yahuwah that we can read it, but they walk like. Many of us can't even deal with just we got to eat that again? I just had that 2 days ago or last week, leftovers. Let's give an example. Like, it's just things that we have to, like, what is our mindset now? Like, we can't even eat the same thing for a week or 2 weeks without, I got to switch it up. But they literally had to. I praise Abba Yahuwah for that, because it's just how he's really serious about being content and being thankful in all things, no matter what. And through experiences in life, he can help us be able to get there, but we got to go through things. So I'm thankful for the experiences, because that right there blows my mind in general, like eating the same thing over and over again. But he provided, and that was the food that he gave them. But it's a mindset thing.
Mm-hmm. Like what did the man say? He said, I believe, but increase my belief. Like, I got faith, but help my unbelief, right? Like, it's a contradiction. I believe, but help my unbelief. Like, but hey, I'm gonna tell you right now, hey y'all, I believe, but help my unbelief. I don't want to see spaghetti one time. By day 3, boy, I'm done. Like, I'm done. I gotta go on like a 3-year reprieve. So yeah. Absolutely, like, that's the thing, like, so I can only imagine what they was going through, you know what I mean? But that was the reason why the Father was having mercy with him. Like he said, I heard the complaints, I heard the grumblings. This is what I'm gonna do, right? I heard the complaints, I heard the grumblings, but it can't get to a point, like Elder said, where it's like, now hold on now, wait a minute, how many times am I gonna keep on trying to solve a problem that can't be solved, right?
It just reminds me, and this is kind of in the natural, 'cause since we're talking about this, if some of you may have heard of the carnivore diet, it used to be named something else. I can't think of it, but that's the modern day word for it. But I attempted it. It really works, but like you said, eating meat over and over and over and over again, it gets boring. It gets really boring. I mean, I guess, because I was always the type of person, I always had to have meat on my meals, but having it just solely protein, it gets really monotonous. So I can only imagine what they had to go through back in that time to just, have to eat the same thing over and over. So.
I understand, what you guys are saying, but you have to understand the conditions that you are in. You're in the wilderness. You don't have the privilege of being able to grow vegetables and things, those other options. Mm-hmm. You are in the wilderness, and you're moving away from a enemy that was trying to destroy you. Mm-hmm. So and it's hard to truly understand, because you never been in the wilderness. You never had to, you didn't have no grocery stores, things of that nature. So you have to adapt to the situations that you're in, because you got 2 or 3, almost 3 million people that you're traveling with, and it's no way, you're going to have beef, and you don't have all these other luxuries that you had when you was in Egypt. So you're gonna have to adjust to the situation that you're in. You're in the wilderness, and I would be, for me, I would be happy that I got this to eat, because some people, is in the wilderness and don't have nothing, and they end up usually dying from starvation or from thirst. So,
And it don't take long.
You got to take in consideration the situation that you're in. It's not going to always be this way. It's going to be an end to it someday. But until then, I have to endure and be blessed and thankful that, I got this to eat. I got water. And then he even gave us quail to eat. So, right. So, you got to understand your predicament and the things that you're in the situation that you're in, and adapt to it.
Mm-hmm. So the key word there is being content, right? All praises. Go ahead.
It's kind of funny that we bring this up, because just this morning I was in my kitchen looking for something to eat, and I realized that everything that I wanted was already gone because someone else ate it. And I kind of got a little irritated. But then I went upstairs and I came back downstairs. When she was downstairs, she said something about smelling some bananas. And I happened to look on the counter, like, you know what? What am I complaining about? I grabbed those bananas and ate them and was just as content as I wanted to be. But because sometimes we just I don't always believe that it's intentional that we may complain or murmur. I think it's just nature for our flesh to want to do so, and that we really have to pay attention to what it is that's going on around us, so that we can kind of pinpoint those trigger mechanisms. That way, when we see those triggers coming up, we can do something about it. Life is going to life. Things are going to happen, but we got to have that faith in the Most High, that He's always going to be there for us. People ask me a lot of times, sometimes, but in my past, they were like, well, how did you get through this? How did you get this? Because I understood who my provider is. I understood what I was going to go through, and I understood that I wasn't walking this route alone. This is the part that we have to get better at. Become more accepting that though we desire things a certain way, His will is always going to be done. And if it's His will that we might miss a meal or two, then, it's like I told my daughter, it ain't like I'm going to lose it. I said, it's not like I'm going to lose anything. It might just help me lose something I need to lose, But I'm just saying all this to say that we got to really pay attention and learn how to be content in what He has provided. It doesn't mean that it's not to say that you don't ask for more, but be grateful for what you do have, because you could look up and you don't even have that.
Absolutely. All praises. All praises. So, verse 8, it says, a land of wheat and barley, of vines and fig trees and pomegranates, a land of olive oil and honey, a land in which you eat bread without scarcity, in which you do not lack at all, a land whose stones are iron, and out of whose hills you dig copper, and you shall eat and be satisfied. So notice they was complaining because they weren't satisfied in their current predicament, right? But He's saying, nah, just believe in me, and I'm gonna get you where you need to be, and you gonna, the very thing that you want to complain about, as long as you just stay the course with me and keep faith in me, you'll never have to ever be dissatisfied again. Right? So why are we complaining? The very thing that we might be complaining about might keep us away from that, right?
I have a question. Does anybody, when they read the verses like this that say a land flowing with milk and honey and pomegranate, do you feel a yearning to have that when you're reading?
Absolutely.
I'm like, it sounds so unexplainable, but we have those options today and we don't even think about it. I don't understand. Maybe some of us do, but I don't. I have the options today to have those things, but I don't know what it is about when I'm reading it. I desire it. I yearn for it. I don't know if anybody understand where I'm.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit different from. it's a different thing when this is the quote unquote state of being, right? Like it's one thing no matter what we obtain in a land of captivity, you're still gonna be in a land of it went out. Okay. You're still gonna be in a land of captivity. You know what I mean? Like it was in Egypt, they had all of the flesh pots and all, but it was still something that just wasn't right, right? It don't matter how good they treat you, how like you still gonna be lacking something. So that's the difference. It's really like, no, this is ours. This belongs to us. Like this is it's different when you have something that nobody can take away from you because you own it versus still looking out the window like is a repo man coming, or did they change some rules, or you know what I mean? So to me, in my opinion, and how I look at it, like it's a little bit different when you're receiving something that belongs to you versus when you're on like borrowed time or renting something. You know what I mean? Like yeah, we can get some of this stuff today, but it's so much more than just a thing. You know what I mean? Like it's so much. Like I can go buy a whole big tub of honey, but it's still something different about, imagine if we was in our land and collecting the honey on our, like that's a different thing. Like it's not just the honey, you know what I mean? Yeah, next week we gonna have to figure something out. I'm gonna use the Zoom or something like that so that we can bypass this issue. Okay. Not bad. How are you? All right. We should be good to go now.
This makes me think about when Abihu told them to spy out the land. What we're talking about now. Just is like it's like our whole life, and this these chapters or these verses here. Like if they only would have not given a bad report, we have two that did not. But I'm just saying, like if they would have just realized like they were this close of getting out and actually getting what they really desired and wanted, which was to have all these extra things. But they didn't. It just makes me think about our life now. Like, how close are we to what they call a breakthrough? You know what I mean? Like, how close are we? And if we just endure and keep our mouth, versus now we're complaining and murmuring, and it takes even longer for us to get out of whatever situation we may be in. If we just know, let me stay focused, it doesn't matter how bad it gets or how bad I feel it gets, I'm not going to complain, I'm not going to murmur. But if you do, set back, all the way back, you got to start over again. It's just with Israel, and with spying out the land, 40 years, and they all had to die out until that next generation. So it really is important to make sure that we don't complain and murmur, because it really literally could be the difference between us elevating and us staying like where we don't want to be.
All praises. All praises. So, verse 11, his warning. He says, so be on guard, lest you forget Yahuwah your Elohim by not guarding his commands and his right rulings and his laws, which I command you today. Lest you eat and shall be satisfied, and build lovely houses and shall dwell in them. And your herds and your flocks increase, and your silver and your gold are increased, and all that you have is increased. Man, that sounds like what's there to complain about, right? That your heart then becomes lifted up. And you forget Yahuwah your Elohim, who brought you out of the land of Mizraim, from the house of bondage, who led you through that great and awesome wilderness, fiery serpents and scorpions and thirst, where there was no water, who brought out water for you out of the flinty rock, who fed you in the wilderness with manna, which your fathers did not know, in order to humble you and to try you, to do you good in the end, that you shall say in your heart, my power and my strength of my hand have made me this wealth. But you shall remember Yahuwah your Elohim, for it is he who gives you power to get wealth in order to establish his covenant, which he swore to your fathers as it is today. So, you can also become too satisfied, right? Father knows this. He's aware of it. So remember, as it was just mentioned, complaining can open the door to temptation that wouldn't otherwise be open. And actually, I don't even know if I did mention that. That was all the way back here. So I'm going to read it. Complaining can open the door to temptation that otherwise wouldn't be open. So notice, because they started to complain, remember, out of the heart, the mouth speaks. And their hearts were filled with dissatisfaction for their current circumstances. They were tempted to turn back to the bondage and slavery that they cried out to be removed from in the first place. So have you ever received deliverance from something where the Father answered your prayer and he heard your voice crying out to him in sincerity, but when it came and you got what you asked for, you got used to it and then started to lack that same appreciation for it? So then perhaps something happens with that blessing that then causes you to start to complain about it instead of maintaining a proper perspective regarding it. So has this ever happened to you? And notice the complaint is not usually directed at Yahuwah to his face, but instead is directed at the person or thing that you feel is causing you discomfort. But this does not mean that the Father himself does not take offense by your complaints. All right, so just keep that in mind. So now back to where we were. So now, remember, as was just mentioned, complaining can open the door to temptation that wouldn't otherwise have been open. So keep in mind the adversary and those that are wicked know how to present you with a gift as well, right? So keep all of that in mind, because I'm going to put it this way. The Father's not the only one listening. All right, when you open your mouth, the Father's not the only one listening. And those that are righteous are not the only ones listening, right? Sometimes it's those that are unrighteous that are listening. I'm going to share some. It's off, but it's, for somebody, it's going to mean something. I don't know who, and maybe not now, but relationship advice, right? Don't share a lot of times, right? Like, say you're going through something with a significant other. Be very, very careful with who you share those issues with, because it ain't for all ears, right? A lot of times, what can happen, falling across somebody who has a deceptive heart, it might be an individual that now you just gave them everything that they need to shapeshift into to now deceive you, right? That's a real thing, and it happens. I'm putting y'all up on game. As a young man, I know how young men think. The women too these days, right? Like, be very, very careful with who you share what you're going through with, because you'll find yourself in a situation where, like I said, you done gave them access to the whole blueprint of what they need to shapeshift into to get what they want, and now you stuck in a situation that never was meant for you to begin with, right? Like, it happens all the time. It's like, they say dirty macking and everything else. Like, man, well, if that was me in that situation, I would never do you like that, right? And then next thing you know, now you catching feelings for this individual, thinking that there's something that they're not anyways, because if they really was upright, they would be telling you to go back to, you know what I mean? Like, and whatever, or walk you through the process of trying to correct some, instead of trying to be the correction themselves, right? They're not going to put themselves as the solution. if they really. So just something to think about and be aware of, right? Like my word of advice and wisdom there, because I've seen it happen many a times, and it's very easy to and then now you're in a situation where you shouldn't even be in to begin with. So.
I'm learning as I get older that some things you just should keep to yourself and take to the Most High, because He's the only one that can fix it if it's to be fixed. So you can avoid that issue you just said, because a lot of us think there's this one person we can trust, that they'll never betray you. But like you said, the enemy, all he needs is a little crack, and you're thinking this individual is where they're supposed to be that you're confiding in, and then the enemy, Satan, enters that individual because of wherever they are spiritually, perhaps, And so it's just best, whatever you're going through, just take it to the Father, and just be patient.
All praises, and I don't want to diminish. Like I agree with that wholeheartedly, and I will say, let Him lead and guide you to who it is that you can have as a confidant. Because sometimes there are situations where you do need somebody to walk you through a situation, but that person absolutely needs to be somebody that is going to be neutral and give you sound, righteous advice according to what the Father says, right? Like that's the thing. And a lot of times it just ends up being the coworker at work. And it's like, you know what I mean? Like you got your work friend and we just talking just because I'm here at work. Again, like I ain't seen it happen too many times. And now next thing you know, the coworker is either, we'll see as we go in through because sometimes that advice is just going to be bad advice, but it feels good. So at the moment, you're going to go with it. You know what I mean? So like, that's just, back on task. All praises. So Matthew 7, it says, ask and it shall be given to you. Seek and you shall find. Knock and it shall be open to you. For everyone who asks receives, and he who seeks finds, and to him who knocks it shall be open. Or is there a man among you who, if his son asks for bread, shall give him a stone? Or if he asks for a fish, he shall give him a snake? If you then, being wicked, know how to give good gifts to your children, how much more shall your Father who is in the heavens give what is good to those who ask him? So again, the point here is just that righteous, wicked, everybody knows how to give what somebody's asking for. Wicked even know how to give a good gift. Proverbs 23:1. When you sit down to eat with the ruler, look well what is before you. So this goes to like that point that we were just bringing out, right? Put a knife to your throat if you are a man given to appetite, right? Don't just sit down and eat and make yourself at home at anybody's table. It's basically what he's saying. If you know you're a man that's given an appetite, put a knife to your throat. Don't just sit down at this table and eat everything that they offer you. Do not desire his delicacies, for that food is deceptive. Now, the food is deceptive because what? Your belly can be deceived, right? Eyes bigger than the stomach, right? Do not labor to be rich. Cease from your own understanding. This is what it's all going to boil down to. Is this the Father's understanding that I'm gaining in this thing, or is it my own? Is it his will, his desire, or is it my own, right? Do you set your eyes on that which is not? For riches certainly make themselves wings. They fly away like an eagle to the heavens. Do not eat the bread of one having an evil eye, nor desire his delicacies, for as he reckons in his life, so is he. Eat and drink, he says to you, but his heart is not with you. You vomit the peace you have eaten and lose your sweet words. Right? So there is a such thing as a person as eat and drink. and he keeping a record of everything you eat and drink, right? He ain't just giving it out of the kindness of his heart. He looking at how he can take advantage of you later because of what he's giving you, right? So keep that in mind when you're dealing with people, right? Right? But what they're asking out of you is something that is something that they might put you in a position that you ought not be in. I just put it that way, right? There's a song by DMX that I used to listen to as a kid. It's a funny song, but there is some merit to the song where he's talking. It's called Damien, where he's talking to this individual, and the individual in the song ends up being Satan himself. But he basically put him in a predicament where he was offering him this and offering him this. He's his best friend. Hey, you know I'm your friend. I'm your man. And then it came to a point to where he wanted him to pay him back, and he's like, I need you to go kill so-and-so for me. He's like, wait a minute, they cool. That's my people. He's like, nah, hold on, wait a minute. You know I wasn't giving you all that stuff for free now. So, like, the moral of the story is the devil don't play fair, right? So just keep in mind, go ahead.
It kind of reminds me of the story of Abraham when, as he was traveling, he wanted to stop and buy a piece of land for burial. Mm-hmm. And the people that owned the land was trying to tell him that, no, you're a good friend, we both got wealth and, don't worry about it. But Abraham told him, I never wanted to be said that you did this for me or you did that for me. So, basically I think the moral of the story was, don't be so eager to take gifts from individuals that would turn around and use that against you later on in life. Try to always pay your way or give them something compensate for what they're doing for you, so that way they can't come back later on saying, well, it wasn't for me, you wouldn't be this or you wouldn't be that. So it just reminded me, Abraham, that story just reminded me of this on this topic, speaking on those things.
All praises. Like, there definitely is something to be said. In whatever situation that it is that you're in, you always want it to direct back to the Father. That's who you want to receive the esteem and who to receive the praise for whatever the situation is. And if at any point in the situation that becomes unclear, where it stops being directed to the Father, but to that individual, then it might be a problem. I just put it that way. So remember what we read last week about Ahab and Jezebel. His complaining opened up the door for the adversary to provide him what he desired through deceptive means, right? So in that case, the Torah was broken to receive what was desired. And we know that this was not of the Father, right? So you have to ask yourself, is what I desire something that I should desire? Is this my will and my own heart, or is this something that is in the Father's will for me? So what is at the root of my dissatisfaction or complaint? If I have to violate the Father's Torah to obtain it, it's likely that it's not of the Father's will, but it's of my own. So keep in mind, the enemy knows how to present you with what you want with no moral limitations, right? So if you need something, the Father isn't going to have you go out, and in order for you to get it, you got to go steal it. Right? Like, he's not going to tell you to go steal something to have what you need. That's not how he's going to provide it. Right? So this is how suffering proves your heart to see whether or not the Father's will is and desire is what's in your heart. Or are you just willing to temporarily use him for your own heart's desires? There's a big difference between the two. Right? Time only tells that. Because you don't know until you get put in that situation where it got to get tested. Right? So, yeah, keep all that in mind. 2 Samuel 13:1. Again, sometimes complaining can open up the door to temptation that otherwise wouldn't even be there. Right? 2 Samuel 13:1. And after this, it came to be that Absalom, the son of David, had a beautiful sister whose name was Tamar, and Amnon, the son of David, loved her. And Amnon was distressed, even to become sick, because of his sister Tamar, for she was a maiden. And it was hard in the eyes of Amnon to do whatever to her. And Amnon had a friend whose name was Yonadab, son of Shema, David's brother. Now, Yonadab was a very wise man, and he said to him, "Why are you, the king's son, becoming thinner day after day? Explain it to me." And Amnon said to him, "I love Tamar, my brother Absalom's sister." And Yonadab said to him, "Lie down on your bed and pretend to be sick. And when your father comes to see you, say to him, 'Please let my sister Tamar come and give me food and make the food before my eyes so that I see it and eat it from her hand.'" Before we go, sometimes these quote-unquote gifts can be solutions to our perceived problems, right? But notice that these moments of discomfort and hardship are the opportune times that the adversary looks for, right? So, like, these are the very moments when we feel like we have something to complain about. These are the moments when we ought to be on guard and expect for the enemy to show up, because these are those opportune times that he's looking for, right? When you strong and your defenses are up, that's not when he's gonna come. But take a couple blows, then he might appear. Are you going to complain about it and seek your own way out of the situation? Or are you going to give the Father thanks in the midst of the trial and trust him? That's the question. All praises. So Amnon lay down and pretended to be sick. And when the king came to see him, Amnon said to the sovereign, "Please let Tamar, my sister, come and make a couple of cakes for me before my eyes, so that I eat from her hand." And David sent to Tamar to the house, saying, "Please go to the house of your brother Amnon and make food for him." So Tamar went to her brother Amnon's house while he was lying down, and she took dough and kneaded it and made cakes before his eyes and baked the cakes. And she took the pan and turned them out before him, and he refused to eat. And Amnon said, "Make everyone go away from me." And they all went out from him. And Amnon said to Tamar, "Bring the food into the bedroom so that I eat from your hand." And Tamar took the cakes which she had made and brought them to Amnon, her brother, in the bedroom. And she brought them to him to eat. And he took hold of her and said to her, "Come, lie with me, my sister." So now we know the story, and ultimately did what was in his heart to do. But notice how complaining to his wicked friend is what caused all of this to begin with, right? So I say all that to say the point that I just made a moment ago, right? Be careful who you complaining to, because sometimes they'll provide solutions to your perceived problems that are not founded in righteousness, but it's the very thing that pulls at your heartstrings, right? So just be mindful of that. James chapter 4, verse 1, it says, "Where do fightings and strivings come from among you? Do they not come from your pleasures that battle in your members? You desire and do not have. You murder and are jealous and are unable to obtain. You strive and fight, and you do not possess because you do not ask. You ask and you don't receive because you ask evilly in order to spend it on your pleasures. Adulterers and adulteresses, do you not know that friendship with the world is enmity with Elohim. Whoever therefore intends to be a friend of the world makes himself an enemy of Elohim. Or do you think that the scriptures speak to no purpose? Does the spirit which dwells in us intensely crave unto envy? But he gives greater favor. Because of this, he says, Elohim resists the proud, but gives favor to the humble. So then, subject yourselves to Elohim. Resist the devil, and he shall flee from you. Draw near to Elohim, and he will draw near to you. Cleanse hands, sinners, and cleanse your hearts, you double-minded, right? So in the midst of you going through trials, also just be mindful of who you're making friendship with. I'm going to leave that there. Proverbs 30:7, 2 matters I have asked of you. Deny them not to me before I die. Remove falsehood and a lying word far from me. Give me neither poverty nor riches. Some of us, like, we cool with the first part of that, neither poverty, but the nor riches part, hold on now, you have gone too far, right? But really listen to what he's saying. Give me neither poverty nor riches. Feed me my lawful bread. Lest I become satisfied and deny you and say, who is Yahuwah? And lest I be poor and steal and seize the name of my Elohim. Luke 11:1, and it came to be while he was praying in a certain place, as he ceased, one of the taught ones said to him, Master, teach us to pray, as John also taught his disciples. And he said to them, when you pray, say, Our Father in the heavens, let your name be set apart. Let your kingdom come. Let your desire be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us day by day our daily bread. This is what it's all about. Excuse me. So when you find yourself complaining, you have to ask yourself, should I be complaining right now? Has the Father provided me what is needful for me this day? Do I trust that what he has provided in his timing is what is best and proper for me? Is a lack of faith and trust the root cause of my discomfort and complaining? You got to ask yourself that question. Isaiah 53:1, who has believed our report, and to whom was the arm of Yahuwah revealed? For he grew up before him as a tender plant and as a root out of dry ground. He has no form or splendor that we should look upon him, nor appearance that we should desire him. Despised and rejected by men, a man of pains and knowing sickness. So we don't see, it's talking about somebody, right? And we don't see, how did he deal with it? And he letting them, he had plenty of reason. He was no stranger to pains and suffering and sickness and everything else. But how did he deal with it? It says, yet he reckoned himself smitten and stricken by Elohim and afflicted. But he was pierced for our transgressions. He was crushed for our crookednesses. The chastisement for our peace was upon him, and by his stripes we are healed. We all like sheep went astray. Each one of us has turned to his own way. So you see what the problem is. Not seeking his will, but turning to your own. And Yahuwah has laid on him the crookedness of us all. So accepting the Father's will, literally that's how Mashiach was able to suffer through what he suffered through, right? Said, if this is your will, well, hey, let that be done. Nevertheless, if you can't take this cup, it is what it is. Right? That's what it's all about. He was oppressed and he was afflicted, but he did not open his mouth. He was led as a lamb to the slaughter, and as a sheep before his shearers is silent, but he did not open his mouth. He was taken from prison and from judgment. And as for his generation, who considered that he shall be cut off from among the land of the living? For the transgression of my people he was stricken, and he was appointed a burial site with the wrong, and the rich at his death, because he had done no violence, nor was deceit in his mouth. But Yahuwah was pleased to crush him. he laid sickness on him, that when he made himself an offering for guilt, he would see a seed. He would prolong his days, and the pleasure of Yahuwah prosper in his hand. He would see the result of the suffering of his life and be satisfied. It's the same thing as what we was just saying about the wilderness, right? You will go through it, and as long as you endure through it, you will see what's at the end of it. Then you'll be thankful. Through his knowledge, my righteous servant makes many righteous, and he bears their crookednesses. So sometimes you can be going through a thing, and others can see you go through a thing, and the way that you handle it can turn somebody else to righteousness. Absolutely.
It just reminded me of when I was really sick. As some of you may remember, when we first got together. And I believe I was going to leave here if the Most High hadn't intervened and touched me. And at the time, I had decided I wasn't going to take that job. And that's when a lot of people were doing that. And I just stretched out on my faith, and I said, regardless, no matter what, if this is my time, then so be it. It is well with my soul. I was cool. Either way, the Most High chose to go with it. And I'll never forget one of my siblings, she was contemplating taking it. And she's she's a believer, and she's, trying to do the right thing. And she said she wasn't going to do it, but then her job was demanding it. She decided that she still wasn't going to do it. And because she told me out of her mouth, because she saw that the Lord healed me, that's why she didn't take it. And so I'm just grateful for that testimony.
All praises. Like, literally, that's the ticket. That's the goal. Like, that people will see what we do and then give esteem to the Father. Like, what more can we ask for? All praises. All praises. So, verse 12, it says, therefore I give him a portion among the great, and he divides the spoil with the strong, because he poured out his being unto death, and he was counted with the transgressors, and he bore the sin of many and made intercession for the transgressors. Matthew 6:30, it says, but if Elohim so clothes the grass of the field, which exists today and tomorrow is thrown into the furnace, how much more you, O you of little believe? Do not worry then, saying, what shall we eat? Or what shall we drink? Or what shall we wear? For all these the nations seek for. And your heavenly Father knows that you need all these. But seek first the kingdom of Elohim and his righteousness, and all these shall be added to you. Do not then worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow shall have its own worries. Each day has enough evil of itself. Proverbs 16:8. It's really a question of whether or not we believe this and if we have this in our heart, right? Better is a little with righteousness than a large income without right ruling. A man's heart plans his way, but Yahuwah establishes his steps. How much are we really okay with being content in whatever situation that we're in? If the Father is guiding our steps, we should always be content, right? Whatever that outcome is, however it looks, whatever we have or don't have, if we trust in him and it's something that he's providing for us, then, man, all praises. Now, if it's something that he hasn't provided, then, yeah, we gotta get to the root of that, and we got to deal with that. But if we understand this, the question just is, why are we complaining? Do we really have anything to complain about? All praises. But that's the question, right? So, how is your outlook? Is the glass half full or is it half empty? So, when complaining, where is your focus? Is it on your desire not being fulfilled, or is it on the goodness of what the Father has already provided and will provide if we rely and trust in Him? So when complaining, what does this say about the condition of our faith/belief? So Proverbs 3:5, trust in Yahuwah with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding, nor acknowledge Him in all your ways, and He makes all your paths straight. He's going to direct you and tell you exactly what you need to do, and He's going to make it clear to you in whatever situation it is if you're leaning on Him. Do not be wise in your own eyes. Fear Yahuwah and turn away from evil. It is healing to your navel and moistening to your bones. Esteem Yahuwah with your goods, with what you do have, and with the first fruits of all your increase. Then your storehouses shall be filled with plenty, and your vats overflow with new wine. 1 Timothy 6:6. But reverence with contentment is great gain. For we brought not into this world, and it is impossible to take any out. When we have food and covering, we shall be satisfied with these. But those wishing to be rich fall into trial and snare, and into many foolish and injurious lusts, which plunge men in ruin and destruction. For the love of silver is the root of all kinds of evil, for which some, by longing for it, have strayed from the belief and pierced themselves through with many pains. Sometimes that very thing you're chasing, like they say, some say, have said, like you chasing the dragon, you know what I mean? Like, you running after something that you'll never get, right? It doesn't really exist. And the more you chase it, the more it hurts you. The worse off of a situation you find yourself in. The more you chase it, the more you chase it. Notice here that they have pierced themselves with many pains in their pursuit to fulfill their own heart's desires. Sometimes that's what's at the root of the complaining, right? It's not whether or not the Father is providing. It's just, this ain't what I want right now, how I want it. Like I always say that J.G. Wentworth, it's my money and I want it now. What they did not tell you was that them J.G. Wentworth loans was like some of the worst payday loans, high interest rates. Like they're not just giving you money for nothing. Like they gonna front you, but then you gotta pay X amount back. And then you got to ask yourself, hey, yo, was it really worth it? So now it wasn't your money. It was their money. Again, sometimes it's always an enemy, a predator looking to take advantage and to deceive you. Take advantage of what your desires are. So when you're complaining, just be careful. Numbers 11, starting at verse 1, it says, and it came to be when the people were as complainers, it was evil in the ears of Yahuwah. And when we complain, what is it? It's evil in his ears. And Yahuwah heard it, and his displeasure burned. So he getting mad, and they didn't even know he was getting mad. That's the part that's scary about it. He's starting to feel a type of way, and they don't even know he's feeling a type of way. And the fire of Yahuwah burned among them and consumed those in the outskirts of the camp. And the people cried out to Moses, and Moses prayed to Yahuwah, and the fire died down. Then he called the name of that place Taberah, because the fire of Yahuwah had burned among them, and the mixed multitude. So now, again, like I said, be careful who you put yourself around sometimes, because everybody ain't gonna give you the same advice, and they're not always gonna give you something according to righteousness, right? And the mixed multitude who were in their midst lusted greatly, so that the children of Israel also wept again and said, who has given us meat to eat? We remember the fish which we ate without cost in Mizraim or Egypt, the cucumbers and the melons and the leeks and the onions and the garlic. But now our being is dried up. There is not to look at but this manna. Now the manna was like coriander seed, and its appearance like the appearance of bdellium. It don't sound half bad to me. Was it something wrong with the manna, or was it something wrong with them? Manna ain't changed. It's the same manna every day. It was good then. It should be good now. But the heart, right? Like we said earlier, you get tired of something that's good real quick. So like I said, the question was there anything wrong with what was provided, or was it something wrong with how they looked at what was provided? That's the real question. Psalm 78:15. He split the rocks in the wilderness and made them drink, as from the great depths, and brought forth streams from the rock and caused waters to come down as rivers. Yet they sinned still more against him to rebel against the Most High in the desert. And they tried El in their heart. Where was it? In their heart. By asking food according to their desire. And they spoke against Elohim. They said, is El able to set a table in the wilderness? So now they front on him like it's something that he can't do. Look, he struck the rock so that the waters gushed out and the streams overflowed. Is he able to give bread also? Would he provide meat for his people? Therefore Yahuwah heard, and he was wroth. So a fire was kindled against Jacob, and displeasure also came up against Israel, because they did not believe in Elohim, neither did they trust in his deliverance. Yet he had commanded the clouds above and opened the doors of the heavens, and he rained down manna on them to eat, and he gave them the grain of the heavens. Men ate bread of the mighty. He sent them provisions to satisfaction. He made an east wind blow in the heavens, and his power he brought in the south wind. And he rained meat on them like the dust, and winged birds like the sand of the seas, and let them fall in the midst of his camp, all around his dwelling place. So they ate and were completely satisfied, for he brought them what they desired. They had not turned away from their desire. Their food was still in their mouths. When the wrath of Elohim came against them, and he killed them among their fat ones, and he struck down the choice ones of Israel. In spite of all this, they still sinned and did not believe in his wonders. So he ended their days in a breath, and their years in trouble. Be careful what you ask for, because you just might get it. All praises. So you have to remember the goodness of Elohim to remedy this mindset, right? Like, what's the fix? I try to leave us with a fix at the end of these. This is how we convert complaints to compliments and praise to Elohim in all things, right? Philippians 4:4. Rejoice in Yahuwah always. Again, I say rejoice. Let your gentleness be known to all men. The master is near. Do not worry at all, but in every matter, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known to Elohim. Right? Now, remember earlier we asked, was it legitimate? Was they legitimately going through something in that wilderness? Yes, absolutely. Well, where they went wrong was what they did to try to fix it. They said, well, let us go back to Egypt. When all they had to do is continue to trust in him, make their requests known to him the right way, and be okay with whatever answer it is that he provides, trusting that whatever he provides is what is suitable for us in this day. That's all they had to do. And he proved to him time and time again that he was willing to listen to him. He was willing to hear them out and accommodate. Okay, they complaining to you, Moses, about the water. Go over there to that rock. We're going to make some water. Right? So it says, and the peace of Elohim, which surpasses all understanding, shall guard your hearts and minds through Mashiach Yahusha. For the rest, brothers, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is righteous, whatever is clean, whatever is lovely, whatever is of good report. They brought back a what kind of report? A bad report. But whatever is of good report, if there is any uprightness and if there is any praise, think on these. Meditate on this. Let these things be the abundance that's in your heart. Then guess what's going to come out of your mouth? Praises, thanksgiving, psalms of praise, testimonies. Right? And what you have learned and received and heard and saw in me, practice these, and the Elohim of peace shall be with you. Whatever it is, he going to be with you. And as long as you trusting in him and leaning on him, he's going to show up. And I can say that with confidence. Might not always be what you want and how you figured it out to go. Ain't always going to be that. I can't promise you that. But what I can promise you is that if anybody calls on his name and we depending on him wholeheartedly, no, he is an Elohim that is an Elohim over his people. Says, and I rejoiced in you greatly, that now at last your concern for me has revived again, though you were concerned but had no chance. Not that I speak concerning need, for I have learned to be content in whatever. 1 Peter 5:6, humble yourselves then under the mighty hand of Elohim, so that he exalts you in due time, casting all your worry upon him, for he is concerned about you. He's concerned for you. He cares about you. So in the event that you are in need of something, he knows that. And as long as you coming to him for it, he'll provide it. In his time and in his season, all you got to do is trust in him. That's it. All praises. Psalm 103:1. Bless Yahuwah, O my being, and all that is within me. Bless his set apart name. Now, this is a psalm where he's speaking directly to his soul, right? Because his soul wants to feel disgruntled about something. And this is how he's bringing back to remembrance the mindset that he should be in, right? Bless Yahuwah, O my soul, or O my being, and do not forget all his dealings. Sometimes we can get in that space and that mindset of what have you done for me lately? Right? Like we do that with people. We do that with the Most High. And that's an unrighteous place to be. Right? Like it's really not the right mindset to have. Do not forget all of his dealings, who forgives all your crookednesses. That right there is reason alone. Hey, he done, let's try this again. How's it now? All praises. Go ahead, Nadabi.
I was just going to say that I'm a witness to that as far as like going to Abihud for everything and not murmuring and complaining, because it really does work. Like I can pray for something and sometimes it'll come like immediately. Other times it doesn't come, and that's how I know it's not time yet. Mm-hmm. You know, so just trusting in the Father, it really does work. Like take your time. No, just let me pray to Abiyah, this is what I need or what I believe I need, and whatever the case may be, and just trust in him, and he will answer. He will answer. But if he doesn't, just be okay with that, move on, and his timing in the right season, if it's meant for you, it will come. So yeah, try it if you haven't tried it.
All praises. All praises. Verse 4, who redeems your life from destruction, who crowns you with loving commitment and compassion, who satisfies your desire with the good. If your desire ain't in alignment with his, you might not get what you desire. Or if he do give you what you desire, you got a bigger problem. Right? Your youth is renewed like the eagles. Yahuwah is doing righteousness and right ruling for all the oppressed. He made known his ways to Moses, his acts to the children of Israel. Yahuwah is compassionate and showing favor, patient and great in loving commitment. He does not always strive nor maintain it forever. He has not done to us according to our sins, nor rewarded us according to our crookednesses. For as the heavens are high above the earth, so great is his loving commitment toward those who fear him. As far as east is from west, so far as has he removed our transgressions from us. As a father has compassion for his children, and so Yahuwah has compassion for those who fear him. For he knows how we are made, and he remembers that we are dust. Right, so that's the last slide of the day. Next time you fix your mouth to complain, just consider and think about the things that he has provided. Whatever is lovely, whatever is peaceable. Think on these things, right? Let that center you and ground you and make sure that you're looking at things with the right vantage point and with the right perspective. Are you seeing it how he sees it? Or are you just seeing it how you see it, right? All praises. Go ahead.
Also consider, if you don't want to tick him off, don't complain.
All praises. Because like I said, sometimes it's a legitimate need. Like he's not tripping on that. Like sometimes it's a legitimate need, and it's really a situation that. Well, y'all know that. Like I said, hey, stop the press. All praises. Hey, it's only a matter of time before we get little sis. We gonna get you too. All praises. Why you back there laughing? We gonna get you too. Well, all praises. Go ahead.
I just wanted to give a testimony. So y'all know, I said in May I had my accident, and my car was in the shop since May. They had it for 2 months. I was without a car for an entire month because I did have a rental for a month. And I wasn't complaining about it. They just kept pushing it back. So that was like, oh my gosh, here we go with this. Another thing, okay, another thing, whatever. But now that I have the car back, it's like I wasn't even without it. And then I had to look at it as like, I could have, like I have the car now, and it could have been a situation where the car was totaled, so I'll be without it altogether, or I could have lost a limb in the accident, and then, yeah, it could have been worse. So I am very grateful for that he didn't allow it to be anything other than what it was. And then it was like 2 days after I got my car back, my insurance was due, and I was like, I don't have the money. Yeah, so I had left it in the garage. My mom like, you got the car back, girl, let's go hit the town, let's go. I'm like, yeah, it won't be right now. But I didn't tell her, like, I don't have insurance, I don't have the money right now. I was just like, nah, it's whatever. I prayed about it. And then maybe like 2 days after that, something had me check my account. We was up late one night, something said, check your bank account. So I checked it, and it was like $400 in there. And I was like, let me pay my insurance. So I paid it, and yeah, we back outside. No.
All praises. But yeah, like testimonies, they important. There might be somebody that's out there that's like going through the same thing, and that testimony is the one thing that got their mind right. So yeah, all praises. Yeah, with that, I'm done. Yep, 1 Timothy 6. Yeah. Side note, share this, and my Isha knows this is something that I've been saying to her ever since. Was having issues with our car. This is last month or something like that. And usually when people ask me how I'm doing, like y'all all know me, usually my response is like, man, I can't complain. And like I started saying that because like it's the truth. I really can't complain. Like it keeps me grounded. Right. This one day, neighbor come, I'm over here sweating this hot heat, working under this car. It's not going the way I want it to go. I'm over here feeling like Balaam with his donkey, ready to start abusing the car. He said, hey, how you doing today? I said, you know what? Usually I say I can't complain, but today I can. And he stopped and he looked at me because he knew it was all for me, right? And he stopped and he looked at me and said, well, always remember, it's somebody out there that's got it way worse. I had to stop and I looked at him. I said, my bad. I'm sorry. You are absolutely right. You absolutely right. All praises. Pull it off. Have a good one. Like, all praises.
Okay, I have a testimony since people were talking about their vehicles. I'm going to testify about the goodness, his goodness. So actually, almost to date, a month ago, it actually was July 4th, I was heading to work. I had started noticing little signs of my car, my vehicle, my truck was acting funny. So I go into prayer mode, like laying hands on, come on, Betsy, get the car's a name. But I'm like, Lord have mercy, just let me get to work. Well, that's what he did. As soon as I got to work, y'all, I almost couldn't back up in my parking space. So I'm like, oh my gosh, is my transmission going out? I'm like, oh no, So I said, well, thank you, y'all, for getting me to work. So I worry about it. I got through my shift. I worry about it in the morning. Got through my shift. Well, when I got off work that morning, it wouldn't go out of the parking space. So I just knew it was my transmission. So I had the nerve to call myself, was like, well, maybe I can get home. Now, mind you, I'm in Troy, 30 minutes from my home. And I couldn't even get out the parking lot. I got from one side of the parking lot to the other, and by the time I got to the other, I couldn't even back in at all into the parking space. So at this point, I was like, oh, well. Called AAA. They came, and mind you, it's the holiday, a Friday. So all this is happening. So I was fortunate to even get a tow. And so I got my vehicle to AAA, which was closed. So I left it there, and the tow guy took me to my daughter's house. So I was grateful for that. So all this, I'm without a vehicle the whole weekend. My daughter helped me. My mom helped me to get where I needed to go. Well, long story short, what was wrong with it, my axle. It was my axle. It was not my transmission. So talking about could be worse, but it could have actually even been worse than the transmission, than the axle, because the Most High let me get to my job safe. I could have broke down on the highway. I mean, it all could have been worse. And I'm just grateful that his angels of protection was about me. And, I didn't complain. I just, was like, wow, this would happen during the holiday weekend. That's basically all I said. But I didn't dang, my car, I just said, well, I was grateful because it could have been worse.
All praises. It's straight up, it's just like what Elder brought out earlier. Like, what was Job's response? And nobody had it worse than him. You know what I mean? Like, what was his response? Like, hey, naked that came in, naked I'm gonna go out. Like, can I not take the bad with the good? Like, that's just like you said earlier. Like, that's just lifing. Like, a race ain't always to the swift, and the battle ain't always to the strong. But time and chance happen to them all. So life is gonna life. You know, but it's how we respond in those moments, you know, that determines, it shows and reveals what's really in our heart. So yeah, all praises. You got something?
It helps to enjoy the small things. That's all I was saying. So then when the bigger things come, you can enjoy that too. But the small things, that's where that joy comes in. Simple, small, just enjoy it no matter what.
Yep, all praises. Like I said, even in the bad times, like, that's when it's really being tested, because most of us don't have a problem giving praise when everything is going our way. It's just when it gets difficult, do we still have that same praise? You know, and that's where we ought to be. You know, like, so yeah. Yeah, with that being said, we done for the day. All praises.
Hallelujah.
All praises, my guy.
This is week 7 of this series, and is it me, or is it like every week it gets better? It shows that he the Most High works with him, showing us exactly how that we need to be retaining to him through the actions that are, get out of our selfish actions. Today, when I was listening, and I was like, am I really content with the things that's going on? Sometimes I'm like, yeah, I'm good. When people ask me, how's it going? Oh, I won't complain. I won't complain. But then, is it your heart really not complaining? Are you really not having something to complain about? And this is a question that we have to ask ourselves. And this is something I was literally sitting back here pondering on my own self. Am I really not complaining? You know, when I say I won't complain, am I really not complaining? Or am I saying, I ain't got the money to do this, or I ain't got time to do this, or this? But yet, when you look at when you look back and you see everything's going in this in the way it should go, and the way that it's going to go, because you have no control. You got a will, but your will is not going to be able to. Yah's will is going to defeat your will any day of the week. Just because you want something a certain way doesn't mean it's going to happen that certain way. And this is one thing I was just sitting back there and examining myself once again about how I approach things. So as we go throughout this week, let's just contemplate on finding a way not to complain. Whenever our mouths or our minds want to go to a negative situation, let's look for that positive before we get to that negative. Instead of saying, well, I ain't got enough money. You know what? I had a good old meal last night. I ain't got the time. You know what? What did I do yesterday? Oh, yeah, I did all these things, but I did get some things accomplished. You know, somebody would ask me, how was your week? Well, I didn't get everything accomplished that I wanted to. That's another verb, another way of complaining. And see, this is something I've got to correct in myself, because I set goals for me, and if I don't attain to these goals, then I'm complaining. But I have everything that I need. I have everything that I even desired, because my desire is to be with the Most High, and He has not let me go so far, and I pray that He doesn't ever let me go. Brian had asked me to close out for him. Let's remember Ox Steve and Cody D. They're home with the illnesses and the children being sick. And let's really examine ourselves, for real. Let's just look right into that one place. Let's look into our own hearts and understand that when you look around, we've got nothing to complain about. Every time I'm driving. When I see the people standing out with the sign, what am I complaining about? I'm driving. People want something to eat. I've got something to drink. I've got a water in the car. What am I complaining about? He provides us with everything we need. Let's not be like Israel and complain about what we don't have and be thankful for what we do have. Hallelujah.
All praises. Well, if anybody else got nothing else. All praises. Minds, hearts clear. Total Rabbi Ab Yahuwah, we give you thanks, honor, and esteem. We praise you, Father. We praise you for giving us all that you've given us. Thankful for what we do have. And for the things that we lack, we understand that as long as we have you, we really lack nothing. Give you thanks, Father, for not just providing for us in the physical. We thank you, Father, for providing us with all of the things that we need on the spiritual. Thank you, Father, for showing us the way that we ought to be to please you. And thank you for showing us all of the things that if we have them in us, these make you angry. They don't please you. Our aim is to please you. So we just give you all thanks, honor, and esteem again this day, Father, for the fellowship, the testimonies. Pray, Father, that you would reach down and touch and heal Ox Steve, his household, all of the things that they need, Father. Provide that you would, or we pray that you would provide them in this moment while they need healing. We also just pray, Father, that you would continue to keep these things on our minds, on our hearts as we continue throughout this week. Lead us and guide us in the areas where we need understanding, where we need guidance. And we just pray that you would bring us all back together again next Shabbat if you would see it fit to do so. We give you thanks, honor, and esteem in the name of Mashiach Yahusha. Say hello to you, Yahuwah. We thank you. Let it be so. Amen.